Amazing. No, I definitely agree. And I also want to mention your work with FUEL, because I think where FUEL comes in is that human aspect, that human connection from a young professional lens for a lot of us as we are progressing into the early middle of our careers and whatnot. It is truly more about your network. It's about who you know, the conversations you're having, the candor with which you are having them, comfort levels, everything like that. So I definitely want to make sure we talk about right now your work with FUEL. FUEL Milwaukee being the full group title. You are the executive director of FUEL Milwaukee, and by the numbers, you are serving 40,000 regional professionals, 60 employer partners, and 7,000 registered members. Those are just the numbers as I have pulled them. They're probably more by now.
Yeah.
In that same On Milwaukee Black is Beautiful interview, you said of FUEL that FUEL helps Milwaukee professionals connect with the community through exposure, exactly what you've been talking about, to people, events, brands, accessible leadership, and a vibrant social scene. The goal is for people to really become part of Milwaukee's fabric and feel a part of the culture, even if they didn't grow up here. Can you share a little bit about your work specifically with FUEL, either in connection to your work with MMAC or FUEL as its own entity, and the impact that you have seen through those social connections, through that creation of the culture fabric of Milwaukee through the organization?
For sure. I think so. FUEL started in 2001. And when it started, it was called Young Professionals in Milwaukee. And it was one of many young professional organizations across the United States that was serving this army of mighty millennials that were coming into the workforce. The mighty millennials. So the largest generational cohort before since the baby boomers. So they're a force, and folks are retiring at such a rate that every employer, every city is really, really, really trying to attract the top young professionals. So you had to have a young professional group. So we did that in Milwaukee, but it wasn't for us so much about the talented people being young as it was about the innovation and creativity and energy and spirit they brought to Milwaukee. So the way that the organization was formed was that all of the events would be about helping people learn more about Milwaukee in a really fun way, connect to each other. So really authentic networking and exploring their city in a way that they would really take ownership, not just of what's already here, but have some kind of understanding and we wanted them to have an understanding, but also feel a responsibility to make changes where they saw changes needed to be made. So how do you become a citizen of Milwaukee? So that's what all the events were about in the beginning and to this day. In 2007, we rebranded to FUEL Milwaukee because there were a lot of people that were caught up on the words, like, what does young really mean? Do you feel young? Are you 50? Does that mean that you're not young? If it just started to get messy. What does professional mean? There were like musicians and teachers that were like, well, I don't wear a suit and tie every day. Am I a professional? Okay, it doesn't. Let's get rid of the words. FUEL Milwaukee. What the talent does is actually fuel our economy. It fuels our work. That's where our name came from. So we continue to do this work. Access events where we would go into developments that were of high regional intrigue. Okay, the scaffolding is up. We got on our hard hats. We're going through with the developers. Because when you're 20 or 30 something, you have no idea, unless you're in that world, how does a development like this even happen? How's the couture here? How is the avenue here? Where did you come up with the idea for the 3rd Street Market Hall? And who funds this? And wait, how does this work? So you have this opportunity to talk to the people who are actually making these things happen in our city and learning the relationships that they have to have with legislators and the investors that they have to have. And well, what background do you have to have? So it's just this really exciting opportunity to learn how things happen. And you might keep your marketing director job at the company around the way, and you might never have any interest in becoming a developer. But because you know the story now of that development, every time you go there, there's a pride in the way that you tell others about it. Or I went to this FUEL event and we learned this. And that is you starting to be knitted into the Milwaukee community. It's you starting to feel like I am truly a Milwaukeean. I have an emotional connection to our story because I've been a part of the story and I've met the people, the architects of this amazing thing. So access events, networking events, volunteerism events, board placement, anything that you can think of is what we would really focus in on FUEL. Any topic. We've done these amazing bus tours, history tours with John Gerda, where he just gets us on a bus and he'll point to the driver, left, right, and just tell us about what he sees. Because we have these amazing people that have the ability to do that. And they have such deep and rich history inside them and share it with all of us. That's what FUEL is. So it has nothing to do with, right now, today, it's just as much mid-career professionals as it is early career professionals. Back in the day, we were all 20 something. It's not like that anymore. It's very inclusive. We're exploring our city and learning together. So that's the spirit of FUEL. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I know the FUEL events that I've gone to, I've left very energized, like meaningful connections. Yes, of course, it's networking, but also the topics of discussion and people who actually are attending the events because they want to,
yes.
Not because like their employer was like, you need to go to this and shake some hands and then you cannot wait to get out of them. Like it was actually very enjoyable. Everyone wanted to be there. And I'm hearing so many different purposes of the organization. If that group were to have a mission, it would be emotional connection to Milwaukee, because you feel like you're part of the creation of the projects. For people who are perhaps in the middle of their careers and the networking and the knowledge is important to them in order to advance, you have the type of activities like those bus tours where the institutional historical knowledge is being shared. And then, I'm imagining how I would use that knowledge. I'm in a meeting in an interview or in something like that. And I can be like, well, actually, based on what I've seen and the people in my network, X, Y, and Z is true for here. Here's how it can impact you. Here's how it impacts us. Here's potential collaboration, potential partnership and stuff like that. Like that is hard to find and it's hard to quantify in terms of dollar value. Yes. Because you can't always get that information from just like a presentation or a continuing education workshop or something.
Yeah, you got to be in the mix. Like you got to be in the middle of it. And I think so. You share all of the numbers about our subscribers. There was a time where you had to pay a membership fee to be a part of FUEL. Not anymore. Now, if you're following us anywhere on social media, if you're on our email list, there's no barrier. There's nothing stopping people from being a part of what we're doing, and you get to opt in. Maybe you just only want to go to networking events. Maybe you only are focused on volunteerism right now. Maybe you only want to come to an event where we're talking to CEOs because that's where you're minded. You get to kind of pick and choose the things that you want to do, but our goal is to touch as many Milwaukeeans as possible and sort of bring them into this energy, because otherwise you get in that cycle where you're just going to work and going home. And, that is very hard to break if you don't have someone to pull you out and give you a reason. Like, when's the last time, anyone listening, when's the last time you've been in Discovery World? You're not just going to get up and go to Discovery World. The average person won't. But if we're going there for a certain reason and say, hey, listen, a bunch of us are going to Discovery World. We're going to have an event. There's going to be networking and drink. Why don't you come and learn about this new exhibit or this new initiative or this new drive? Now, all of a sudden, you got something to plug into and you're back in the group. And that's what we have to make sure we always do, because everything at this stage is about relationships and it's about connections. And you have to be so practiced in doing it that it's authentic, where you don't feel, I got to go to this networking event, where it doesn't feel plastic. It doesn't feel plastic because you're excited about the thing that you're about to learn about and you know some of the people there, and this is actually going to be fun for you. So then you show up as your best possible professional self, in an after hours event. And that there's dividends that you get from that for years and years and years to come. You gotta stay connected to folks. You gotta be a joiner. You gotta be going to stuff.
No, absolutely. I am imagining, like, if somebody told me, hey, let's go to this Open Door Milwaukee event, but I guarantee you're going to find something that's going to help you in your professional career, I would be there every time.
That's right. 100%.
Love that. Love that. So for our young professional members who are interested in getting involved with FUEL, can you tell us a little bit about how they connect with you and what kind of, if they were going to get the most out of group membership, and I say member knowing that there's no barrier to entry.
Yeah.
What would an ideal member look like? How are they interacting with the group? What is their preparedness to attend events look like? Tell us a little bit about what you're looking for a member of the group.
So if you go to our website, there's a couple of links on there where you can just join. The easiest way to do it is to join our newsletter, our mailing list. So in the summer, we do a lot of we're doing yacht cruises and we're outside, it's a lot of outside. Once it gets a little bit colder in the city, we're doing more of the education events and volunteerism, more topics, more learning events. In January, we do our professional development boot camp, which is a full week of programming just for your professional development. So there's 15 different workshops that you can pick and choose from. We do a mix of virtual and in person. You can decide if you want to learn, there'll be topics like how to run a meeting that doesn't put people to sleep or like how to survive dinner with your boss. That would be our spin on an etiquette course. And those are really fun because a lot of times it's a great restaurant, really good food. And then we'll learn the difference between how you handle yourself if you're having a meal in the United States or if you're dining with people from Europe or if you're going overseas. And there's just slight differences, little things that you need in your arsenal. And it just helps you show up a little bit more confidently in these professional environments, how to manage up, how to give effective feedback, how to be a manager that won't make people run out of the door, scream, and quit the job. So that's all of the things that we deal with as professionals. A lot of us are given a lot of responsibility. Not all of us are getting the kind of coaching and training that we really need. So we provide that as an organization. As a member, you just plug in, so I think you sign up, you get an email, an event sounds interesting to you, and you just come. With the expectation that you're going to learn something and you're going to meet somebody new. And if you're shy and introverted, we'll pick up on that and help you navigate the room. And, if you're outgoing and extroverted, you'll be just fine. Just start coming, just start coming to things. There's lots of people in the network, but you'll start to see people and you'll start to recognize. And then it does start to feel a little bit like, okay, this is family. It does feel like that over time. So you could be a little nervous. Just come anyway. Just come. You will not regret it. People are so nice. People are so welcoming. Milwaukee is just a great place to explore with Milwaukeeans.